have this evening with us Dahr Jamail, who many of you know as one of the only unembedded journalists in Iraq. He spent 8 months there working actually with Salam, who was his interpreter. Dahr is the author of the amazing book, Beyond the Green Zone, Dispatches from an Unembedded Journalist in Iraq, and his reportings, which have won him several awards. The 2008 Martha Gellhorn Award for Journalism, a very prestigious award, the James Aronson Award for Social Justice Journalism, and the Joe A. Calloway Award for Civic Courage, as well as 4 Project Uncensored Awards. His book is actually on its second printing after its initial run of 10,000 copies. Yeah. And his dispatches can also be read at dahrjamailiraq.com, and he is now a frequent contributor to the Socialist Worker website as well, which is great. And Dahr's book, in my mind, is really, as he says, puts in his own words, is a tribute to the Iraqi people. And like I said, a voice that has been completely censored throughout this whole thing. And it really cuts through the disgusting lies and the racism that Iraqis are not fit to run their own society, that they lack certain capacities, as Condoleezza Rice once said. And Dahr's work could not be done without the help of courageous people like Salam Talib, who also put his own life at risk, helping to translate many of Dahr's important reports.
I'm going to try to cover a lot of ground really fast, but I can do that with this audience because we don't have to, the assumed level of what is actually happening in this country and what's happening in Iraq and why. We have a high common denominator here as opposed to people who rely on corporate media. A lot of the time, I'm going to talk specifically about the situation on the ground in Iraq today, give you some broad brushstrokes, and so you have an idea of how catastrophic it really is today. But I want to talk briefly about why I went, because there's a feeling now across this country, and especially in the anti-war movement today, of apathy, kind of this learned helplessness because of this administration basically giving us the finger on a regular basis and just going ahead and doing whatever they're going to do, whether it's invading Iraq or to hell with international law, whether it's let's go ahead and build some nuclear power plants, let's drill for some more oil, let's talk about bombing Iran now. Let's give Israel more money and support. Whatever it is, they just, it's hard to keep up spirits and keep fighting when it's just one huge defeat after another. But one thing that's guaranteed is if we don't take action, then certainly nothing's going to change. And I was up in Alaska when the war was launched, and I had been doing all these things. I was still kind of in the beginning stages of getting up to speed politically and understanding the fundamentals of what this country's all about. And I still thought that demonstrating and writing letters to senators and things were actually going to do something. And, I guess frankly, with the media and with this administration, I just got tired of eating the shit that they were shoveling out to all of us. I was insulted. And I took it personally when Bush brushed aside February 15, 2003, the millions of people around the globe calling it a focus group. I just had taken enough, and I felt like, me personally, I've always loved to write. One thing I can do is go to Iraq and see what's happening and report on it myself. And so I figured out a way to get in there. It was very scrappy. It was kind of the Lonely Planet guide to going into a war zone. Found a Lebanese guy in Baghdad. He told me how to get in, what hotel to stay at. But the thing is once I started going, and once I got to Amman, I started meeting exactly the right people at exactly the right time. I mean, I had very little money. I was basically just going in with a camera and a laptop and was going to send home emails about what was going on. And I kept meeting the right people at the right times, getting turned on to websites that I could post at. From there, getting picked up by various news organizations that I could write for. And so it went. And then I was able to go back for a second trip. And then I was able to go back for a third trip. And my point is, here I am standing here in front of you almost 5 years later from when I first went in with a book, and my point is that you can make a difference if you find out what is happening, especially in our hearts, of what is the thing that I care the most about, what is the thing that I feel the most passionate about. Maybe it's not Iraq, maybe it's climate change, whatever, and go after that thing. But I want to go back to Iraq and just give you some broad brushstrokes of what I saw when I first went in there. My first trip was November 2003, and I just went in basically to bear witness. And one of the first things that I saw when I got into Baghdad, I was there less than 72 hours, and this is November 24, 2003. And stories of torture were everywhere. You couldn't walk down the street and get tea at a chai stand and talk to people without, within 5 minutes, hearing people talking about, yeah, my brother just got out of this military camp down in south or up north near Kirkuk or near Tikrit or Abu Ghraib. I mean, it wasn't just Abu Ghraib is my point. And people were talking about the use of German shepherds. And people were talking about sexual humiliation and degradation. People were talking about electricity. People were talking about being made to stand outside naked at night in late November when it's quite chilly and have cold water poured over them and having fans run on them. People were talking about loud music being played, not giving them any sleep. People were talking about desecration of the Quran. This is November 2003. The Abu Ghraib scandal broke.